Everybody's making their Super Bowl plans for Sunday. As always, we'll be watching the commercials. Advertising is a huge focus. The most eyes, the widest demographic, and companies pay some big bucks. Joining me right now, Brian Gleason, CRO of Criteo. Thank you so much for being with us. So when you look at what's going on for Super Bowl, and this is right in your wheelhouse with all the research you do, how are we looking for this Sunday's ad lineup?
Hey, Nicole, yeah, it's good to be back on the show. This Sunday looks to be massive. You know, when you think about true cultural events that impact marketing, the Super Bowl is top of the list. And I think this weekend we're going to see some exciting things. You know, the trend line right now, what we're hearing is there's going to be a lot of celebrity focus. There's going to be a lot related around commerce, obviously, leading into the show. The big thing this year is it's going to be the first time that the broadcast is actually not just linear television, but it'll also be streamed on P+, which opens up a new opportunity for different types of advertising, more personalized, more commerce experience. So there's a lot to see this weekend.
All right. Well, I'll get back to that in a moment. Your company, Criteo, did have its quarterly report. How did folks feel about the quarter and the outlook? What's driving things?
You know, we're fortunate. We celebrated our second year of double-digit growth, and we just announced previously this week we crossed the 1 billion mark for contribution ex TAC, which was the first time Criteo's ever surpassed that, which is significant. Retail media, which is such a growth area that we hear about quite often, that grew at 26%. And commerce audiences, which is something that's new to the marketplace, which with what we're seeing in the changing of ad tech and cookie deprecation, which I'm sure you've talked about, that's been significant growth for us as well. So 2 great years in a row, and this last quarter was a good one. So we're excited about 2024.
And you're sort of brokering, right, between media, the advertisers. Tell me about how that ecosystem is working.
Criteo focuses on commerce media, and the best way to think about that is it's taking any impression, whether it's on the open web or on a retailer's website, and connecting that to a transaction. So we see over $1 trillion of transactions annually, and we have over 220 retailers that we represent. So when you go on some of our clients, whether it be Albertsons, Uber, or Target or others, and you're going in the search bar, like for this weekend, and thinking about, okay, great, I want to get some potato chips. You search potato chips, Criteo's technology powers that. And it's been a massive business. You know, if you look at retail media as a whole, I think it's projected to be over $100 billion. It's fundamentally changing the way that retailers operate. And we're seeing it move into other businesses, like I mentioned, Uber. You know, Uber, I think they talked about their advertising on this last earnings call as being a significant contributor. So we're right in the middle of commerce media, and it's the fastest growing segment within digital media at the moment.
I know we have somewhat of a fragmented market now, the battle of the streaming companies. You have collaboration in streaming, like what we see now with ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery. You have independent streamers. There's just so many ways to go, and ad dollars can only go so far, right? It used to be just linear television, and that's where the ad dollars went. Is there enough to go around? I mean, what is the vibe for the spending for the advertisers? I think we'll see a lot of advertising going on in 2024. Is there money for that?
There's certainly money for advertising. You know, and you see it around events like this weekend with the Super Bowl, where, you know, brands are spending upwards of $7 million for a 30-second spot. But that has to translate into sales for those brands or for those clients. So you're starting to see more and more what I'll call influencer type of events around the Super Bowl itself. So when I think about that, what we're talking about is, you know, lead up to the game. We saw for commerce, you know, you saw, I think, sales of streaming jump almost 15%. We saw, you know, CPG jump 20% as you start to go to the game. To your question around, is ad tech going to change? Absolutely. This year is a significant year for us in ad tech because There's an elimination of what's been the currency of the open web, which is the cookie. So it opens up a tremendous opportunity. One of the beneficiaries of that is retail media. Retailers are now opening up new media opportunities, which the biggest thing that you get for a brand is you can see in real time, did Brian buy on this site? And for a brand, it helps you spend your money so much more effectively. So I think it will be a dynamic year, but there's certainly going to be spend that continues to come in the category. Brands need to find new customers, and they need to have the ones that they have continue to buy more.
Right, and we've already seen some big ads or some glimpses of those, such as Uber, which you mentioned, with Jennifer Aniston, David Schwimmer's in there, and David Beckham and Victoria Beckham. I saw Judge Judy for Elf Beauty. That looks like a lot of fun. I saw part of that commercial. So really looking forward to those. Just as the final thought, when we think about Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount, all these streamers, some together, some fragmented, which ones are best positions? Which ones would you say are in 1 and 2, based on also some of the advertising requests, right? Advertising send their money there. Where do you think the growth is? YouTube, it's my understanding, has done very well. In fact, has surpassed Netflix. Final thought?
Yeah, I think you're going to see 3 areas of growth. I think you'll see it in commerce media and all the companies that are surrounding that space. It's interesting to see what we have going on with the streaming services. I still think it's too early to tell. Obviously they're leaning more into the advertising component of that. And then finally, I think it's the consumer. When we think about all these things, how we buy, how we watch TV is becoming more and more personal. And that's the ultimate winner in this whole ecosystem.
Yep. Brian Gleason, CRO at Criteo. Thank you very much, Brian.